Hi everyone, I'm back from my holiday. I just arrived home about an hour or so ago. So yes, I'm filming this straight away because I'm going to be very busy tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm washing and cleaning and all that jazz post-holiday fun stuff. So I wanted to get this filmed to talk about the book I've been reading this week while I've been on holiday. I finished it a few days ago, but I haven't been able to record this till now because I didn't take my laptop on holiday. And that was The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne. Now, this is the 10th anniversary edition of the book. As you can tell, it's been out for quite some time, and it's a very interesting story because it looks at the Holocaust from the point of view of an 8-year-old boy. The actual book is written in third person, but it's from the naive perspective of this little boy. In case you haven't heard of it, or you don't know the story at all, you've heard the title but not known the story. It follows a boy called Bruno, who is 8 years old. He lives in Berlin with his family, and his father has become, he's been promoted, he's a soldier, and he's become a commandant. And they have to move to this place which he always gets wrong. Bruno calls it Outwith instead of Auschwitz. And they moved to this place. And he loves going exploring and such. It's the one thing he wants to do when he's grown up. And one day he goes exploring to the back of the house and goes, walking for ages, and comes across the farm, what he calls the farm, which is the camp of Auschwitz, and finds a little boy behind the wire fence who he becomes friends with, and it's about their relationship and the naivety of what's going on. Now, I won't reveal too much about events, but I will be talking about certain things later on, but just to reassure you, I won't be giving any spoilers away. So it's spoiler free, but I will be talking about certain elements of the story. The boy I forgot to mention on the other side of the wire is the boy in the striped pajamas. He's called Schmoll, and he's there with his father, who refers to he occasionally refers to his siblings and his mother, but he doesn't indicate that they are with him and his father at all during the book. Bruno believes, from watching the camp and everything, that it's a farm and they wear striped pajamas. He doesn't understand the concept of the camp and what is actually going on. Schmoll understands it because he is living through it. He is 8 years old. He was born on the exact same day as Bruno, so it's these two boys who have grown up. He's Polish, but he understands German, so he speaks to Bruno in German because his mother was a language teacher. So this relationship that the two of them share. Bruno is very naive about what's going on in the world, and so it plays out these various scenes, as I said, written in third person, but with the naivety of Bruno, which is really clever, really interesting. The actual story itself, it has got a weight to it, but I will talk a bit more about, the film version later, which is when I'm going to be pulling up some certain aspects of the story, which are going to be spoiler free, but just to let you know, that's when I'm going to do it later on in this review. Along the way, there are various other characters that we meet. So we've got Bruno's older sister, Gretel, his mother, Vera, his father, and Lieutenant Kotler, who is second in command, as it were, to Bruno's dad. Ralph is his dad's name, should I say. There's Maria, the maid, and Pavel, if you want to name it that way. I'm not sure exactly how he pronounces his name. In the film, they call him Pavel, so I'll say Pavel. Who is from the camp, who comes in every day to peel potatoes and such as that. So you automatically have this very weird atmosphere where I think it's the cleverness of how it's been written. Sorry, I'm sat on my foot and it's gone to sleep. Where there's multiple scenes in this where there's this clear underlining tension in the room, but Bruno can't see it. He doesn't understand it. He can kind of sense it, but he can't see it fully. He can't understand it. So because it's been written in the third person with his naivety, some scenes really stand out for what is going on. So, for example, there is a dinner party scene where Lieutenant Cotler reveals something about his father, and Ralph's reaction to it, and subsequently Cotler's reply and what happens later on in that scene are really interesting, really deep, and you can feel the tension brewing higher and higher and higher and higher till something's going to explode. But Bruno, he is more concerned about something else in that scene. Really little thing, but that's because his 8-year-old mind focuses on. And it's so interesting that you've got these really tense moments that build and build and build. There's multiple ones throughout this book. So the way that it's structured, the way that it's written, flows really well. Some bits, I have to say, is a bit kind of convenient. So, for example, the fact that Schmoll is Polish and Bruno is German, and Schmoll happens to be able to speak fluent German. Just so that the two of them can talk, or the fact that the two of them meet up every day to talk at the fence, but there's no guards around in that area of the camp to see them. Or, it's kind of like, really? There are some bits where true fact about the Holocaust isn't built into the story. So, for example, again, this is not giving anything away, Schmoll reveals that he lives with his father and there's other men and children in the camp where he is. Where in reality, because of Schmoll's age, he would have been killed in the Holocaust as soon as he arrived. Or, very shortly after he would have arrived. Because he wasn't deemed to be of, old enough age to be of use in the camp, which is just awful to think of. The Holocaust is a horrific event in our history, but it's like, if you're going to write about something like that, reality of certain things I think need to be built in it, but at the same time, side of my mind is going, yes, but this is fiction. The rules get bent. So at times I was kind of like fighting in my mind, going, no. And my mind, and the other side of my mind is going, just go with it. It's fiction. It doesn't have to be completely truthful. It's fine. So yes, there was a bit of a fight in my mind with it. So sometimes I kind of had to shut off my brains to the realities of, the Holocaust to be able to fully enjoy it. That doesn't mean that if I kept my mind on to the reality that I would have gone, no, I don't like this, so I'm not going to read anymore. Because I would have still continued to read, and I still enjoyed it. But there were elements where I was a bit like, okay, that's not quite great for that. But John did a great job with what he did with this. Apart from one thing, I didn't like the ending, not the specific events of what happened on that final day. I'm not going to reveal the ending, but the fact that it takes over a year for the family to learn what really happened that day. Now, the film, I think this is going to be one of those times, I've only ever said it with Death Comes to Pemberley, the P.D. James murder mystery, and I'm going to say it with this one as well, where I think the film is better than the book. Now, that isn't got nothing to do with the way it's constructed, the way it's written, the sequence of events, none of that, because the film does very well in portraying the various events. But what the film also does is that it cleans up certain errors. So, for example, the fence that separates the two boys in the book, it's just a fence, and they're able to touch the wires, all that lot, da da da. Whereas the film corrects it and does it to be what it would have been in the Holocaust, where it's actually electrified. So that's why they can't go near it, and everything. The film also does it so that with the final day, again, I'm not going to reveal what happens, the family twig what's going on pretty much straight away, and they're going as fast as they can to prevent something from happening. And that built up the atmosphere so much. It really brought the ending sequence to life in a completely different way than the book. It gave it more tension, more drive, more power. So even though the book follows the exact same sequence of events, the film is able to portray it a lot better because you have that inbuilt thing of the family's reaction and doing what you can to protect your family, and how that links actually to the Holocaust and the selections and clinging on to hope that they'll see another day, and the family clinging on to hope that Bruno is there, he's safe, he's okay, kind of thing. It's so interesting, that final sequence. I think with this as well, even though it's a stunning read, I really would recommend it to everyone. I think it works better as a film because it's so visceral, and the way that it's written, where, as I said, like, you've got Bruno, his mind is focusing on something that we would consider rather insignificant, while there's this huge underlying tension going on in the scene. Whereas if you watch it on film, you can really play around with that. And the director of the film, I don't have the DVD, so I can't hold it up for you, and I can't recall who directed it, sorry, I'll put it in the description. It's able to play those scenes beautifully, absolutely beautifully. It's very well cast, but there was a couple of moments where I felt that the film got it wrong. So, for example, there was a sequence which is not in the book at all, where Bruno brings a football and kicks it over the fence to Schmoll to play with him, and it's like, no guards, it's like, why? How is it possible that he would be able to kick a football over the fence and have it, thud about the place and everything, and not be caught by a single person? It was just a bit like, oh my god, little things like that frustrated me. Another thing that's in both the book and the film, I was a bit like, oh really, was when Schmoll is invited to the house to clean glasses because they wanted someone with small fingers to be able to do it. It's like, really? That's, yeah, I didn't agree, with that bit. But overall, it's very well written, very well structured. I enjoyed it. I loved various aspects of it. It didn't shy away from, like, for example, the Nazi youth, having your first crush, and getting to know different people, the loss of innocence, the naivety of children, the way in which you idolize your parents, try to figure out who is good and who is bad, what it means to have a belief system. It's so interesting, this book. I'm not surprised it gets taught like GCSE English and such as that. It was very well done. It didn't upset me, it didn't get me sad, but the film does. And I think, again, it's that thing that, even though it's so well written, it's really great, it's a very visceral piece, and when you see it played out, the scenes play out, they have more of a punch, they have more of a power, and the film is directed beautifully. And I have to say, the last shot, I won't reveal the detail of what's behind the door, but it's of a door, and it's just silence, and it pulls back for about 30 seconds to a minute with a tiny undertone of music. But that shot has so much power, so much beauty, so much heartache, so much loss, so much anger. And again, and it's going to sound really strange, but so I can't help but feel, I don't know what the right word is, that there's no pain anymore. There's no suffering anymore. Even though it kills me that that those people behind that door have suffered what they suffered in the most horrendous manner possible. All I can think of, and I kind of feel this way whenever I see like pictures of Holocaust and everything, that they're at peace. It's horrible. It's a really horrible, conflicting feeling of, trying to imagine their suffering of what they went through, and I can't imagine it. So I can only think of they're at peace. That's all I can think of. And I don't know if it's just that means it's me, it's an issue with me that I can't bear to think of that stuff. It's, that I'm in the wrong because I'm looking at it the wrong perspective. I don't know. It's just, I can't confront that darkness of suffering. I can't. So I just think they're at peace now. It is what it is. But yeah, it's a really hard subject to talk about, just as any kind of despicable events such as that. It's so hard. So for John to write this book where he's looking at it through the eyes of innocence and write such a powerful piece that's so tragic and so beautiful, I have to say well done to him. I really do. It's really beautifully written piece, and I think it's one of those stories that it sticks in your gut. It really does stick in your gut, and it's kind of like the Holocaust itself. This truly horrific, tragic event. That it should never have happened. All those poor people who lost their lives just because of their religion. It's so hard to confront. As I said, I find it difficult. But it's kind of, that's what he's saying at the end of the book, and that's what the director is saying with that final shot of the film. This is the reality of it. And yeah, it's very good. I mean, the film also doesn't necessarily follow the true aspects of the camps either, because in the book, it's referred to as Bruno seeing people lying asleep with their eyes open and such scattered around. Well, you don't see any of that in the film. They don't go there. But it's, the idolised view of the farm, as he calls it, versus the reality of what it is. It's a very hard subject. I hope, what I've just said when I was trying to explain myself and how I feel and everything. I hope I haven't offended anybody. I didn't want to upset or offend anyone. I was just trying to convey how difficult it is for me to confront it. I hope I made sense, and if I did upset or offend anyone, I do apologise. That was not my intention whatsoever. But anyway, I'm going to stop there. So yeah, The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, I'd recommend. It was, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I think the film is a lot better because this is such a visceral book. So when you see it in film, it's got more of a power, more of a punch to it, especially in the end of the story. And the fact that it's cleaned up a few areas of the book as well, I don't mind that at all. Alright then guys, I'm going to stop there, and I will be back soon with the announcement of what next book is I'm going to read, and I've bought some books while I'm on holiday, so I'll reveal what those are as well. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, entirely up to you, I'll let you decide, and I will be back soon. Alright then guys, bye!